If you've ever had a crazy dream, if you ever found yourself really liking a certain niche topic or subject, I am here to tell you today about my subtle foreshadowing as a kid, the weird, quirky, funny stories that I had growing up that kind of foreshadowed me coming into modeling, and more so as I've grown and gotten older, has been a testament that I wasn't crazy. It's something that I truly desired since I was very, very young, and that if there's something that you also have desired or been really into, but your life path kind of took you in a different direction, this video is hopefully to give you some fun, entertaining encouragement to go chase your dreams.
Let's take this show on the road. Ish, different day, I be bored out my mind. Hometown, love my place, but while I'm in my pride.
I hope that you enjoyed these stories. If you're new here, hi, I'm Stella Kittrell. I am internet personality model, names that don't really matter. What does matter are the stories. So without further ado, let's get into this video. So I have 5 stories for you guys today, which I'm gonna start. The first 2 are just very light, and then the 3 very detailed ones. These stories came in my head because the Victoria's Secret fashion show was last week, and it all clicked, and I took some very intentional time, and I was like, oh my gosh, God, like, I really think you've been encouraging me to live this lifestyle since I was very, very, very young. I wrote down the top 5 things that I used to do that just made sense that I ended up modeling. But even if you do not have a story like mine where you were doing weird, quirky things like this as a kid, but you have the desire as an adult, I've talked about this recently on my podcast, the Repost Pod. That there are times in life where we just discover new things and try new things as we get older and don't feel like, oh, I don't have a story from birth, that I'm not destined to do something, because your destiny may just come from you figuring out some things along the way. So don't feel discouraged, but do feel encouraged to look at your own past and say, what are things that I've just genuinely been doing since birth? I've had the most privileged adulthood, and I am so blessed to be able to do a lot of modeling work and dreams, and just through it all, you know, as a model, as an Instagram model, as someone getting signed up to do campaigns, that was just clothing and now has expanded into beauty and hair care and just like more than where I originally started. I genuinely can't believe this is my life, and I'm so, so grateful for it. And I really hope you stay till the end, because the last story I'm going to tell you today has recently come completely full circle. This is why the power of your tongue is so important. So let's get in the video. The first quirky thing I did when I was younger is I always had books on my head. I don't have any pictures of this specifically, but I would always practice my posture. I don't know if I picked this up from a TV show, a kid's movie. I don't know, but I do know one thing. I would like sit in front of my TV as a kid, and I would sit there with books and like balance on my head and just really, really practice my posture. And I have not so great posture now. I naturally am made fun of now because when I drive, my back on my car rest is all the way up. I'm sitting completely straight up. Like, that's just how I like to be. This so vividly. I was in Las Vegas with my family, and we were at a buffet, and I had made the intentional decision in school. I was like, you know what? I'm really just gonna my posture. When I was at the table, I was sitting there. My literal family was like, Stella, what is wrong with you? Why are you sitting like that? And I got so self-conscious, and I just like, oh, I'm going to be chill. I'm going to be like relaxed from now on. And I regret that. I think about that so often. I was so young. And what if I just said, whatever, I'm going to do what I want to do. But have always naturally been inclined to have really, really good posture, especially when I walk. There is something very confident, very sexy. Here's a video of me explaining this a little bit more. I'm not even trying to be funny or like give away trade secrets or anything, but the key to confidence in wearing clothes and styles that you're told you can't wear because of whatever reason is in your head just becoming Mrs. Put That Thing On. Just becoming the girl that wears those kind of clothes. I can tell you that people can tell when you're uncomfortable in what you're wearing. For example, right? Big girls aren't supposed to wear stripes. It makes them look bigger. Cool, whatever. I don't care. So people would be able to tell if I'm like this, trying to hide my stomach. Oh my gosh, the stripes are accentuating my stomach. Opposed to walking in confidently, knowing that I made the decision for myself and my fashion to wear this today, and I'm gonna walk into a room confidently. This is what I want to wear. This is how I feel good. This is how I look good. There's a difference, and people can read that. And I don't want to just talk about the haters. I want to talk about the random people who will see you on the street rocking that thing and say, wow, that is such a good outfit idea. I never thought about that. I didn't know I could wear that. I didn't know I could look good in that. I saw the girl at Crumble Cookie wearing that, and I'm going to wear it too. you don't know your impact. You got to break out your shell and show some creativity and stop trying to fit in these societal norms. It's not where it is. Get ready to be uncomfortable. It's really freeing. I truly believe in that. I believe in how you carry yourself is how you are seen by the world. Perception is not everything, but even posture, something so simple and so silly, will affect how you show up for yourself, how you show up in the world, and I really love it. But it stemmed from these moments in my childhood where I would literally have books on my head. We'll take this little book. Back in the day, this is gonna age me, but back in the day, we had encyclopedias, right? So we had these huge books. There was like no Google. We had Ask Jeeves. And my stepsister, she was in high school at the time. She had these huge encyclopedias. I feel so bad for her because she couldn't Google anything. Everything was in these books. When she would do her homework, she would need to find her like answers in these huge books. They would come sell them door to door as a huge thing. Huge. They were heavy. And I would place them on my head like this and I would watch TV. I'd walk around my house. I'd show them off to my cousins. I'd move. I'd do things to show that I had perfect balance, that I had great posture. And it's something that I just quirkily did as a kid. This is my journal, by the way. This is from Target if you like it. I've retired the big journal. We're on to a little journal. So speaking of posture, this one was the memory that I was like, oh my gosh, I have to make a video about this. Like I mentioned earlier, I watched the Victoria's Secret Angels fashion show last week and it's a resurgence. It was looking good. Ashley Graham was there. There is a model there who's a plus model. I don't know who she is. I've searched the entire internet for her. No one's mentioned her and I have got to find her. So if you know this girl, if you're friends with her, if you follow her and she was walking in the show, please, please, please let me know. I've been like dying to find her. When I saw her, I was like, she's it. She's the one. Tyra came out. And when Tyra came out, I had this moment. I remember being at my Nana's house. My grandma used to live in Omaha, Nebraska. And I would go visit her like during school, summer breaks, whatever. And I remember I would watch America's Next Top Model at home. I would watch America's Next Top Model at my grandma's house. This was so specific for me. I saw so much of myself in Tyra Banks, whether it's because she was Black, whether because she was modeling. I just felt a very familiar connection with Tyra Banks from a very, very young age. And I remember sitting in my Nana's bedroom. My Nana would always be like in the dining room smoking a cigarette or something. And I would always be in her bedroom. She had this super small TV and I would sit there, I would watch America's Next Top Model and I would practice the walk. As the girls were walking down the runway, I would walk down the runway of my Nana's bedroom and, you know, listen to the critiques, whatever. And I remember I would place these little squares on the ground where I'd have to follow these straight lines. I walk in an incredibly straight line, although used to be really clumsy. I do walk in a very, very straight line. When I'm on, I'm on. And that like moment of everything happened in these moments, but the biggest thing I am probably known for in my pictures, and now everyone's like, you know, the face card never declines. I could never repay the debt I owe Tyra Banks for teaching me how to smize. That is smiling with your eyes. It's iconic. It is Tyra's thing. It's so silly, but it's making me emotional because there was so much confidence, like learning how to smize at such an adolescent age. It did something. And there were a lot of toxic things about America's Next Top Model, but fundamentally, it taught me I could show up, I could smize, I could work hard, and I can make it happen. And two things I had just learned in that bedroom, on that floor, watching that freaking 12 by 12 inch TV was smize and walk really well. And so a funny thing I used to do, I would come home from my vacations in Nebraska and I would have my friends over, or I'd be at school and I would be Tyra and I would have all of my friends be, you know, the models on my show. And the really horrible, I guess in hindsight thing about all of this is I would judge them like Tyra did. I'd be like, your walk was not good. Try again. Like I was so judgmental, not proud of that, but I was also a kid and that's just what I guess some kids do. But I really thought I was Tyra. I was like, no, like this is it. Like this is the future. I didn't even think this is the future at the time. It was just what my life was. I was so delulu because of America's Next Top Model. And we're going to get back to what that delulu led me to later. That's the last story. So when I would come home and I'd kind of watch America's Next Top Model sometimes, one show that I truly, truly, truly loved was That's So Raven. It is no surprise that a lot of chubby little Black girls all across the nation were watching Raven because she was so inspirational. She was incredibly into fashion. She was a fashion designer in the TV show. And it was just really cool to watch someone a little bit older than you be a star. Raven is a star. And at the time, just taking over Disney between movies, between her show, that was actually my first concert ever. She was on tour with Six Flags America. And I went to Six Flags San Antonio. That was my first technical concert ever. And I had all of her albums. I knew every word. I supported any chance I could, but fashion was the most intriguing thing to me. And I think that's why I'm a little outlandish in my style now, because I was taught that. I was taught, you're not going to be able to see you anywhere. And at the time, Raven was the only plus girl representing chubby Black girls. Like, we had different generations like Monique, and that's cool. For us, for the little girl in her bedroom saying, what do I want to be when I grow up? We had someone just like a big sister, a little bit older than us, saying, you know what? You can be anything. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with my life as fashion. Although it's a scripted TV show. We didn't know that as kids. We didn't care either. It was very, very inspirational. And Raven definitely, I think, aided in that part of me that was ready to awaken, in the part of, I can be anything, I can do anything. And you would watch these episodes of Raven winning at the end of every episode of whatever she was doing. And if she could win at the end of every episode, why couldn't I? And that was a very pivotal phase. It was only lasted 4 years, but that 4 years as a kid feels like forever. And I'm very grateful for that time I was able to watch Raven. And the more personal side, if you don't know, my mom's a witch. I love my mom. We have different religious views, but my mom did raise us to respect all religions and respect everyone from every background in life, and to not judge, and to just love people where they are. And one thing I loved, although I grew up Catholic and my mom was a witch, and sometime I was terrified about being around the things she was doing, my mom's an intuitive medium, and Raven was a psychic. It felt really good to have a lot of different connections to Raven. It just felt like I was seeing myself on TV, and I was like, that's going to be me in 4 years. You can't tell me it's not going to be. It was very, very special. And I think that's why representation is so important, because there's so many girls who've grown up a little bit, right? And I'll get a DM like, oh, I watched you when I was in middle school or in high school, and I'm in college now, or, I have a family now, and you were that person for me. And like, we're making videos on a camera, and it's surreal to think that we do that for people. And it's just cool that that part of me grew up to offer that to somebody else. That is awesome. This next story is so embarrassing. Okay, so this was my only shot at acting I ever got as a kid. My sister growing up, they lived in the Orlando area in Florida. And Orlando, if you're not familiar, has a huge theatrical scene, a huge television, modeling scene. It's huge. So if that's not something you've ever considered, if you only think LA or Atlanta, like, also consider Orlando. They have a huge scene. So my sister's like 4.5, 5 years older than me. And my sister was incredibly into the arts. She loved acting and modeling. That was her thing. My mom and her would do commercials together. They were like in like a T-Mobile or some kind of commercial together. It was really cool to watch growing up. And I was fascinated by it, not necessarily wanting to be a part of it. Little did I know that was how my life was going to kind of turn out too. But as a kid, I could just appreciate it. My sister she's almost 5 years older than me. So it's like your big sister doing really cool things. I was always around entertainment, and I thought it was cool, but I had my own life path. I had wanted to be a doctor when I was like in middle school, and then before that, who knows what I wanted to be. And I remember my mom was like, well, hey, like, if we got our thing rolling with like commercials and, we're doing the thing, I'm going to like try to get you into some of this. So my mom did not tell me what was going on at all. And she's like, get in the car, we're going somewhere. And I was like, okay. So we pull up to this building, we drive in. My mom has still not told me I'm here to model. Okay, spoiler alert, we're here to model, we're here to work, we're here to get going. I am a child, okay? I'm a little chubby child, but I'm a child nonetheless. They immediately take me into this like little closet, and they're doing, I don't know, they're doing like stuff. They're doing like outfits, trying to figure out what they want to put me in. I finally hear someone say on set, like, this is for Kids Magazine. This is for the cover of Kids Magazine. So I was like, oh, like I'm modeling right now. I'm doing a little Kids Magazine shoot. Okay, so it went really bad. One, I had no idea how to model. I had no training. I didn't know what was going on. I wasn't scared. I've always been kind of like fearless, a little fearless kid. I think that comes from me flying alone since I was 5. Like, I've just been very like, you're going to find your path as you walk it kind of kid. So I don't know if I was scared. I was very intimidated though. I remember the feelings of looking at, there weren't many people on set. I couldn't, tell you the exact number, but I do remember, kind of like now, there were some lights, some key lights, and a couple people telling me what to do. And I remember them trying to instruct me. And I remember they put me in a baseball outfit, which is funny because that's the only sport I like now. I wonder if that has anything to do with that shoot. I had a little bad, I had it all. And they're like directing me on what to do. It did not go well. I remember something was purple. I don't know if it was my pants. I don't know if it was the shirt. I remember something being purple. And I realized like, oh, I'm modeling right now. And I didn't know what that meant. I just know I saw, my family do it. How they paid on these sets was $10 for every grade. So they graded you between 0 and 100. So if you got 100, then you get $100, and like that means you did great, like you have a high probability of making the magazine. I got $70 that day, which means I got a 70. And I remember leaving that like, oh, well, that sucks, I guess I'm never gonna model, like that's cool. And it was just kind of a dream after that just died, because it was just like, oh well, like I sucked at kids magazine and I guess that's not what I'm supposed to do. And timeline, this is like, I'm like 5, like this is way before Tyra Banks, this is way before Raven, this is before any of that. This is me just being thrown to the wolves, and I guess like my mom figuring out if this is something I'm going to be into, and I wasn't that good. So my mom let it go after that. There was no talks of trainings and you want to go to school. It was just kind of like, okay, you did your best, love you. And that's kind of like the energy she gave me. And I was not mad at it. I was like, okay, well, that was fun. I tried. But what it did lead me to was wanting to act. And I had spent a lot of my earlier years just very interested in acting, very interested in that. I was really naturally interested in my family's commercial work. I just thought it was really cool. So that's a fun little story. I sucked at my first modeling job. I didn't make it, and I only got paid $70. This last story is last because it was probably the most ridiculous manifestation dreaming I have ever done. And it involves me being a kid. A lot of this happened in middle school, because middle school was like my most formative, maybe like late elementary, early middle school was like my most awakening moments. Like this is when everything was just at the height. America's Next Top Model, Raven, it's just that kind of time frame. So most of these stories are from then. This was probably late elementary school. It was either 5th or 6th grade. I had a best friend. Shout out to Summer if you happen to watch my videos. Hey girl, miss you, love you. So I had a best friend. Her name was Summer, and she lived in my same apartment complex as me. And we would do everything together. All these modeling Tyra things I would tell you all about. We did all of this together. We had fun. It was a blast. And I remember one day I was in the shower, and I used to be obsessed, like actually obsessed with Garnier Fructis. And I don't know if they still make it, but it was like the OG hair scent. It was probably not made for my hair at the time. But I like can smell the smell right now. That's what I use for shampoo and conditioner. It was Garnier Fructis. And I remember I read the back of the shampoo or conditioner bottle, and it said, you have questions, comments, or love the product, call us. And we'd love to hear your feedback. So my 11-year-old, 10-year-old brain didn't really understand that it was like it was customer service line. I didn't understand, right? So I had my friend Summer in the room. I was like, I'm going to call. And I called the Garnier number. Some lady answered, and I told her, and she's like, hi, like, what can I help you with? And I was like, hi. I probably sounded like a kid too. I was like, I really just wanted to let you guys, I had some feedback on your product. And they're like, okay. And I was like, I just want to let you know that I really love your product. Like, it's so good. And I just went on and on, something like that, right? And she was like, oh, okay, thank you. And then she was probably going through her typical ending call stuff. Like, do you have any other questions? Anything I can help you with? I was like, And I hang up the phone. I'm in my bedroom, in my 2-bedroom apartment, 10, 11 years old. And Summer was there. And she was like, okay, like, what did the lady say? And I was so delusional at the time. I was like, the lady offered me a spot in the commercial. And she's like, what? I was like, yeah. She said she loved that I loved the product and wanted me to be in a commercial. And this was like a lie for like a year. I was like, it's gonna happen, it's gonna come out, like I'm so excited. And then like I got like a year or two older, like Summer, that never happened. But I had convinced myself, I had convinced my friend, my best friend, like I am going to be in a Garnier commercial. So delusional. Do I forgive myself? Yes, for lying to my best friend. I hope she forgives me too. I think she did at the time. Like, we just laughed it off. But in that time, you couldn't tell me anything. I was struggling so much, like in my personal home life. Like that was like my super world. I was like, supermodel Stella. And I remember at the time, like someone in my family was really popping off, and like I had a lot of big connections to like boy band stuff. And I would come to school and I would tell all my friends about like the famous people in my family. And I would tell my friends about, like the boy band stuff I got to experience over the summer on vacation with my mom. Like I just had like a fabulous life. And it was exciting. It was thrilling. At 6th grade, that happened all the way through 8th grade. And I really thought I was that girl. I was the girl in choir being extra. I was the girl in theater being so extra. I remember being just that extra. Like middle school time for me, I was just that extra. High school is where things got like a little more real at home, and I lost a lot of that spark. But God gave me it back. Thank you, Jesus. But for a while there, that's what was getting me through, you know, the hard stuff. And full circle moment is, if you saw my TikTok, I finally got contracted out by Garnier and got to work with Garnier. And I think that video is sitting at like 10.5 million views the last time I saw it.
Hey friend, in case no one told you today, you are everything. I have partnered with Garnier to show you just how easy it is to retouch your color during your next everything shower. This quick step solution is perfect for quickly covering up my grays. The Garnier Color Retouch comes in 5 essential shades, so it's an easy match for your hair type. I like to incorporate this in my everything shower because it's very easy to put on. It only sits for 10 minutes and it goes on just like shampoo. And when it's time to wash your color out, just make sure you're running your water until the water runs clear. Turn your hair chore into a simplified routine in your everything shower with the Garnier Color Retouch today.
I finally got my full circle moment, and I finally got to do some work with Garnier. And I just, in preparing for this video, I had that realization, like, oh my gosh, like I just did Garnier. Like it, you know, these manifestation dreams as a kid, they came true. I'm not so surprised that those seeds, I think planted by God, transformed, matured, and grew into like my life now. And I've been so blessed. I think a lot of this modeling stuff started with clothing. My first modeling contract ever was with a brand called Dia & Co. I do believe they're still around. At the time, they were a subscription service for clothing that I had worn myself. That was like my first actual modeling job. And then I got into the Instagram modeling, and then with like Fashion Nova, that was the first company I had worked with that for clothing. The first brand I ever worked with like online was called Rocksbox. They were a jewelry subscription service, which I do think they are still around. Fashion Nova, I went from Instagram model to being their first size 24 model, and that was beautiful too. And then moving in the last year to beauty has been very interesting. I've gotten a lot of opportunities the last couple months to be considered for really big beauty brand campaigns. And if you've been following my modeling journey and just wanting that dream to happen, it has a lot to do with me wanting to clear my skin. And now that I have cleared my skin up, that these opportunities are becoming available to me with beauty and skincare. If I showed you guys my office behind me right now, you would throw up. I remember I got my first beauty brand phone call campaign that they wanted me to be a part of this campaign. I couldn't believe it. It really felt like I'd made the jump from just fashion. And so I'm excited about the things I have coming up too. And just continuing like this next phase of what modeling looks like. It's gonna look really different, and I'm just excited to continue it, but also to reflect and to look back at my childhood and say, you know, like these dreams seem crazy to so many people, but I do believe there's something in you that's always been there, and it is so beautiful. And then to end it all out with having this moment about Garnier, that it's full circle. It's very beautiful, and it's such a blessing, and I'm glad that all my lessons have been through the lens of something that I love, like modeling, and that my first modeling gig and me getting 70 bucks and failing didn't stop or kill a dream. I will tell you guys briefly one thing that did kill a dream, and it can hold you for life. And you know, there are some people in your life that are dream killers, and maybe they don't even mean to be. 8th grade, I was about to go to high school. I had a family member take me to school, and they asked, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I knew it. I said, I want to be an actor. That's what I want to do. And I say, no, you're going to need to get a real job. So what do you want to do? And I remember in that exact moment, I want to work for the CDC. And that became my identity. And I was like, I'm going to work for the CDC. I'm going to work for the CDC. It's prestigious. It's respected, whatever. Being a model, being an actor is not. And to go through that life journey of, I'm saying I'm going to work for the CDC, and then getting to high school and literally failing biology, I knew there was something different for me. And there are people in your life who may have the best intentions, may just want to set you up for success, that may not know your heart and the path God has for you. So be open to who you really are before other people's opinions about your life, because that derailed my confidence for years. And now in hindsight, thinking about it, that's where a lot of, you know, the darkest parts of my life happened. And that is when I, you know, took the advice of the people who thought they knew best for me. In all, I'm really grateful that I've had such a fun, weird, crazy kid story that led me to something that was really cool and fascinating and beautiful, even through a lot of dark things I did go through as a kid. It's important to remember that there are multifacets of you, and just because something is paying the bills does not mean you need to give up pursuit of the things that seem crazy or
that don't right now put the food on the table, and pursue them in a hobby level if you need to, and really continue to feed those parts of yourself, especially the parts, like, I don't know why, but it keeps coming to my brain, like archaeologist. Someone wants to be an archaeologist. Like, if you wanted to be an archaeologist as a kid, like, go play in rocks now. Like, it's fine. Like, have fun. And like, I feel culture now says, oh, don't have hobbies that don't make you money. There's no time for that. True. There is no time for anything. But I think having hobbies and having passions and having interests beyond paying a bill is so important. And hey, if I'm a testimony, then call me Stella. You never know where you'll end up. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it was fun for you. It was very fun for me. It was very fun for me to go through these memories with you guys. And I will see you guys really, really soon. Bye bye.